What is up, guys? Godswill. We're back with another movie review. Today, we're doing it. We're doing Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Obviously, with my channel recently, I've been doing some Texas Chainsaw Massacre funny moments videos along with the movie reviews and all that. So I thought that would be the perfect time to deep dive the Texas Chainsaw Massacre series. I'm gonna rewatch all the movies and see what I remember, see if the thing is, just like the Halloween series, I remember most of these movies being really, really bad, or just really mid, but, yeah, maybe we'll find some hidden gems with our watch throughs, but we gotta start off with the OG, the classic, a movie that I would argue is better than Halloween 1978. Bold take. Texas Chainsaw Massacre, a movie that not only was horrifying to watch, it was also horrifying to film for the actors and for the people filming. Because they actually filmed this in Texas when it was in the middle of summer. So you can only imagine how well that worked out. It worked out amazing. But Toby Hooper would direct the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. To everyone loved it, at least from what I saw. This was like a really highly rated. This is the OG. This came out before Halloween, the OG Halloween movie. So Leatherface is the first goat to come out. He's the first goat of horror villains, at least. He's the first goat. But the thing is about this series, Leatherface isn't the only killer. That's the thing. Most of these movies revolve around him and his crazy cannibalistic family. We're gonna get into that. We're gonna get into it. I'm gonna tell you about the character of Leatherface and the characters of his family. So, firstly, obviously, we got 5 teenagers. You got the siblings, the Hardesty siblings, Sally and Franklin. Then you got Kirk and his girlfriend Pam, and then you got Jerry. And there's just one thing this movie makes apparent really, really quick. Franklin 1 is a really heavy burden to Sally and the rest of their family. You can just tell that they wanted to do this, but not with him. But I feel like you just don't need to know, but you just know. It's just a weird, mean detail that it just needed to point out. And the reason why I noticed this detail, it's because, one, he's a paraplegic, and he's kind of, wacky. He talks about stuff not really people wants to talk about, like slaughtering animals and stuff. So, yeah. But with that being said, let's get into the family. We're going to start off with good old Cook. The Cook. Quite a character, you see. To be honest, he's the only guy you would actually go up to in public and you think, oh, he's probably just some wacky old guy. But obviously when you go to Leatherface and we're going to talk about later Hitchhiker, obviously they're off their whackers. This guy is off his whackers too, the Cook. Yeah. Our 5 teens meet him at the gas station, and nothing too out of the ordinary. He seems like he blends in. That's what the creepy thing is. He actually blends in. He seems like every normal guy in Texas. But we'll find out later in the film that he was actually part of the killers all along. So, he's pretty much the head of the house, so to speak. He leads Hitchhiker and Leatherface into doing the killing. He became the father figure of the house because obviously Grandpa can't move. He's like 124 or something like that. So Cook became the father figure, obviously, because they don't have a mother and a father. Uh, so there's nothing really else about Cook I need to explain. Let's move on to the hitchhiker. Oh, good old hitchhiker, good old Nubbins. After they leave the gas station, and I guess I don't I and then we get that unnecessary scene. I don't think it's unnecessary. It's just I don't know. It's kind of Hooper's dark humor that he really really dives into in Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, which he actually. I'll get to Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, but it does something with horror comedy that not many horror comedies do. But we'll get into that when I review Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. Um, the Hitchhiker. Man, is he quite a character. The weird thing is, it's weird how Hitchhiker is the only guy that talks to Franklin like and has a conversation that treats him as an equal. It's funny. That's the weird thing because you can tell that the others just don't want Franklin there. So obviously, with Hitchhiker, you obviously tell something's off. This guy is kind of off. But you can't judge a book by its cover. But yeah, people took away from this. Don't pick up hitchhikers. It really just depends because you never really know what the hitchhikers are going to do. Sometimes the hitchhiker is actually just a normal hitchhiker and doesn't have any harm intentions, obvious. And in other situations, it's like this where they intend to cause harm onto the person driving or whatever. But yeah, that's besides the point. Hitchhiker, he gets into very big detail about how he worked at a slaughterhouse, makes how his brother makes head cheese, and how he loves the process of killing animals, chopping animals into bits. Yeah, yeah. So yeah. So okay. So obviously, it's kind of weird that you're talking about killing animals and finding enjoyment out of it. Yeah, that's odd. But it gets even worse when the hitchhiker or Nubbins takes Franklin's knife and cuts himself with it. Yeah, yeah. So after this, obviously, they kick him out. I mean, he takes a picture and lights it on fire, but it's when he cuts Franklin that's when they're like, nope, 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 get him out now. He marks their car with the blood, with the hand that he cut himself with. It's crazy. Wackos. Hitchhiker is pretty iconic, I'd say. Really good performance. But yeah. So we should talk about before we get to the introduction of Leatherface. Um, let's talk about how these characters end up screwed. So our five teens want to go to. I feel like it. Yeah, they wanted to go to their grandfather's house. Sally wants to. And just have fun or like go to a creek. They said they wanted to go to. Yeah, they never go to the creek. I have no idea if there was going to be a deleted scene where they actually do go to the creek, but no, they just end up actually just going to the house, to the family house. Yeah. So, yeah. So Pam and Kirk split off from the group. Jerry stays with the Hardesty siblings. Pam and Kirk go to the family house, and they notice Kirk notices a tooth on like the porch of the house, right? And he tries to he plays a joke on Pam. I guess it's kind of funny. Obviously it freaks her out. Why you got a tooth? But yeah, this causes Pam to want to go sit on the swing set, and then Kirk decides to go into the house. He knocks on the door. There's no answer. He slightly pushes the door. It opens, and it's just a straight, just a still shot. You see the stairs, and then you see this weird looking thing with a bunch of decorations on the wall. Like, you have no idea who. You don't know. Like, if you're first time watching, you have no idea whose house this is, but you think something's about to happen or whatever. Then Kirk hears some pig squeals. Yes, he hears some pig squeals, and lo and behold, like an NPC spawning in a video game, Leatherface just appears to attack Kirk with the hammer. One bam to there's no sound. It's terrifying, actually. One, Leatherface mask is scary. Obviously, it's a human face. Two, there's barely any ambience. There's barely any sound, and you just hear Leatherface kill him. And then, obviously, from this gif here, you see with the iconic door slam. It's nuts. Then, obviously, Pam comes in because she wants to know what happened to Kirk. Then she comes and goes into the... Is it the living room? I think? It's the room, to the other side of the kitchen. Obviously, we'd later find out. There's chickens. There's home decor made out of human bones. Wacko stuff, So, I think this is the perfect opportunity to tell you. So, they said, the filmmakers actually misled the audience. They said it was based on a true story. That's only partly true. Yes, Leatherface's crimes is heavily based off Ed Gein, who was a grave robber. He never used a chainsaw, to my knowledge, to what I heard about it. He would steal corpses and make decorations out of them and stuff like that. Yeah, crazy, crazy stuff. But that doesn't mean there's not families like this in real life. There's no way there's not families like this in real life. There's no way. But from our knowledge, these events in this movie have not taken place in real life, even though they probably have in some way or facet. Now, we get to where Jerry comes looking for them, of course. Jerry goes into the house. After all that stuff with Pam getting put on a meat hook, and she has to watch Leatherface rev up his chainsaw and cut through the corpse of her boyfriend. Yeah, this is wacko stuff. The only other thing it could remind me of is when Michael Myers in Halloween Kills was destroying the heck out of Cameron in front of Allison while she's helpless on the bottom floor. That's the only other thing that reminds me of in terms of because you gotta watch your significant other get brutalized and you couldn't really do anything about it. So this is a weird fact. Tobe Hooper wanted to limit the blood and gore, obviously. He wanted a TV PG rating. or a PG. I think it was a PG-13 rating. I think he wanted the PG-13. There's no way he's gonna get a TV PG rating out of this. Maybe PG-13. What world is this gonna be a PG-13 movie? That's just a weird fact. But yeah. So after that, Jerry comes looking for them. Yeah. He doesn't know where Kirk is, but he does find Pam in the cooler. But then just then, Leatherface then attacks Kirk. Not Kirk. Jerry. Sorry. Getting confused. Leatherface attacks Jerry with the hammer again like he did the Kirk. And this is the point where we get some, really good characterization of what Leatherface is. Leatherface, compared to Cook and Hitchhiker, he suffers from mental disabilities. He has very limited knowledge about the world and all that. All he knows is how to use a chainsaw and how to kill people and eat them. That's all he really knows, and make human mask and all that. Other than that, he doesn't really know anything. And here, you see Leatherface, despite his brutality, is freaked out and scared. That's what I find really intriguing about Leatherface. He's just scared and confused and doesn't know what to do about these people coming into his house. He would usually have his brothers bring people there, or whatever the situation would be, but he's not used to doing this on his own. He's probably used to having Hitchhiker help him or whatever. So he's scared and confused, and then he just stares at his teeth, and he just sits down and stares at his teeth. It's intriguing, his character, I have to say. So this is the part where we get to the chase scene. We get a chase scene in this movie, but we got to get there first. So obviously after a while, the three didn't come back. So the Hardesty siblings are obviously like, okay, why aren't they back? So they go out looking for them. They go out towards the house. It's dark. And then we hear the quietest chainsaw of all time. Because how is Leatherface able to have the chainsaw on before Franklin shines the light on him? He spawns in again to kill Franklin. Poor guy can't do anything because he's a paraplegic. Poor dude. He can't do anything. Leatherface is just going to town. You don't really see what parts he cuts off or whatever. I think it's because of the MPAA, I think, or maybe this was an intentional thing by Toby Hooper. But either way, nicely shot scene. This movie is shot really well. Really big credit to the cinematographer. I don't know how to say the word. The camera guy or whatever. The camera work was amazing. I can't speak. Sorry. Long day. So yeah. And now we obviously get a chase. Sally runs to the family house, locks the door behind Leatherface. Leatherface, not knowing what to do, he obviously just saws through the door. And Sally goes upstairs, meets the grandparents of these guys. Grandma's dead, and then at this point, you would assume Grandpa is dead too, and they're just keeping their corpses up here for sentimental value or whatever crazy thing, whatever. You think Grandpa's dead, but you'll find out soon enough that he's very much alive. So Leatherface gets to the door. Sally tries to come downstairs, but realizes Leatherface burst through the door, so she runs back upstairs, and jumps out the window. Yeah, a lot of jumping out of windows. Yeah. Um, After she recovers, Leatherface looks down. Leatherface obviously goes around to get her. So Sally runs to the cookie boy, or Drayton Sawyer, telling her about a guy, how he killed them. And you notice how Leatherface isn't followed. Sally goes back to the gas station to meet Cook, who's still working there. Sally's freaking out. Cook tells her everything's fine, obviously. He looks outside. Leatherface, we can assume he's nowhere to be found. That's what Cook tells us. Then he tells her he'll be right back. Oh, this is... And then you notice, like, he's cooking meat. But there's something off about this meat. It looks a little human. That's weird. And then Cookie Boy comes back with ropes in a bag. Yeah, that's not a really good sign. Cook tries to tell her, oh, just cooperate, nothing's gonna happen or whatever, trying to convince her. Sally tries to fight back, but, she gets knocked out by the broomstick. Is gonna take her home to his house. On the way, he finds the hitchhiker, a wild hitchhiker, and another really nicely shot scene where it's like, it's hard to explain. The light, like the car lights, because it's nighttime. The car lights are on, and like it's showing the front of the car, and you can just see the silhouette, basically, of the cook and the hitchhiker, and Cook is getting mad at Hitchhiker for doing all the grave robbings, because we hear about that in the beginning of the film. And, yeah. Yeah. So, obviously, they take him home where we meet Leatherface is there, then a different mask in the old granny mask. So, yeah. And this is the most remembered line for Cook for me. When he tells Hitchhiker to bring Sally in, and then Cook notices the door. He goes, "Look what your brother did to the door!" Oh, that's such an iconic line. That's the most iconic line for Cook for me. And this is where we get to one of the most iconic scenes in the movie. The infamous dinner scene. Yeah. So, how we get here. Hitchhiker ties up Sally and then takes the bag off. He doesn't know it's Sally. And then he recognizes her he's delighted. He's like, "Oh, yeah." And then, meanwhile, in the kitchen, Cook is abusing Leatherface. And then we see another side of Leatherface that we haven't seen until this point. He becomes a scared little dog, basically, or something. He's humbled so bad. Obviously, Leatherface is bigger and can overpower Cook. Obviously. But, it's out of fear and respect. Obvious Cook is asking Leatherface, oh, did they escape? Obviously, Leatherface can't speak, but, he's making mumble-jumble noises that Cook and Hitchhiker can understand, I guess. Yeah. And then this leads to Cook tells Hitchhiker to bring Grandpa down. And at this point, when I first watched the movie, I'm like, this dude is dead. What, are y'all just, so in denial about him being dead? And then Hitchhiker and Leatherface take Cook down. And then they 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 give Sally his blood. They cut Sally's finger and feed it to him. And then all of a sudden he starts sucking the blood and starts moving. Wait, this dude's alive? What in the world? Sally just can't believe this is happening. She passes out. And we wake up to the infamous dinner scene. Yeah. Yeah. So, she's screaming and they're feeding off of it, as you can see in this gif. Oh. Yeah. It's crazy. So, it all leads to them just torturing her, basically. She's begging and pleading for them to let her go. But these are just twisted cannibals that don't care. They don't care. And then Cook tells Hitchhiker to get on with it. But Hitchhiker suggests Grandpa be the man for the job, since Cook always says Grandpa's the best. Now, this is another part where Tobe Hooper incorporates his dark humor. Where we'll see way more of it in part 2, but we'll get to that when we get to that. So he has, with Leatherface's help, with the mallet he was using earlier, he gives it to Grandpa to bash Sally over the head with it over a bucket. And then eventually, with the help of Leatherface, he gets a hit on her. But then she somehow breaks free and jumps out of the front window and starts running. Starts running. Wow. She starts running. Finds a trucker. Hitchhiker's in hot pursuit. Then comes Leatherface. Cook doesn't follow. Obviously, for obvious reasons. Hitchhiker is just slicing her back, playing with they're still playing around, which, yeah, this is kind of, I mean, I understand you're crazy and wacko, but this ain't the time to be playing around. Stab her, get the job done. And then Hitchhiker's so focused on playing with his food, per se, because, he's a cannibal, that he doesn't notice the big truck that comes, and he gets demolished. He gets destroyed by this truck, and this is the death of Hitchhiker. Bubba, the trucker, stops to pick up Sally and sees what's going on. And then I love the trucker in this scene. As soon as he sees Leatherface in that chainsaw, he's like, nope. Goes back into the truck. For some reason, doesn't drive off because he didn't stop. He didn't turn the truck off. He just stopped. And Leatherface continues to chase both of them. Sally finds another smaller truck. She escapes Leatherface, and we obviously get the most iconic thing in horror history: Leatherface's famous chainsaw dance. This was I had a thing. They had no idea how iconic this would be. Sally's terror turns into glee because she finally realizes she's escaped the nightmare. And that is the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Part 1. What a movie. What a movie. My thoughts, I think it's borderline perfect. I give this movie a 9.5. It's a 9.5 for me. This movie is awesome. It's a slow burn, but when stuff gets going, it's just epic. To me, at least. When Leatherface shows up, it's scary, And then the dark humor elements that are just barely there, they're good. Yeah, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the original, the OG. Um, really like this movie. Um, when I get to time to watch the second one, I will record the review for the second one. And yeah, guys, hopefully you enjoyed the video. See you in the next video, guys.